Instagram streets, and it allows people to know what we're over here doing. So I am super excited to dive in. So when I am working with couples, I often hear this refrain from one or the other partner, and more often than not, I hear this from husbands. So again, I often hear this refrain or this commentary, more often than not, I hear it from husbands, and it is that basically they feel as if they can't ever really please their spouse, or they feel like every time I'm trying to do this thing, he or she gets frustrated about something else. And I often hear that, and I am hearing something that's not being said, and I'm gonna get to that in a minute. Even when I'm watching some type of reality TV, and I'll hear somebody say, I know I'm not perfect, whenever they get feedback. So I want you to pause and ask yourself, how well do you do when it comes to feedback? When someone wants to point something out to you, when somebody wants to share a concern, when somebody wants to suggest something, are you receptive to that? I want you to be honest about you. And when I'm working with these couples and I hear this refrain, like I said, I often hear it from husbands. Husbands often tell me, it feels like my wife is moving the yardstick. She told me that this is what she wanted. I started doing that, and now she's moved the yardstick. It's something else that she wants. And I just feel like I'm never going to do it right. And so if that is something, if that sounds familiar, if your spouse has said something like that to you, or if you've ever felt like that, I want you and your spouse to have a strategy for feedback. So I'm going to share this strategy today. Next week, I'm going to come and share a whole nother strategy with you, and you determine which strategy you prefer. Now, I wish I had made these strategies up. These are not strategies that I've made up. And actually, over the last couple of months, I listen to Audible books, and I probably this year have listened to 13 because I am just a fanatic. And so I probably listened to 13. In the last couple of months, I heard about these two different strategies, and I was listening to them more for the work I do in another area. And as I was listening to them, I was like, oh my gosh, this would be phenomenal for couples to use. And so I'm going to share this with you, and you can borrow this strategy for your marriage. You can borrow this strategy for your children. You can borrow this strategy for your career. But as I am sharing this strategy, I want you to write it down and come back and let me know if you tried it and if it worked. Now, right now we are still focused on the wives camp. The wives camp, we're really heavily focused on the wives camp. It is not too late for you to join the wives camp. You can click the link in my bio to join. However, in the next couple of weeks, we are shifting our focus because it is going to be time for you to start doing your strategic planning for 2025. And so when you think about this feedback model that I'm about to give you, it is something you can incorporate when you all sit down and do your strategic planning for 2025. You know that you can access the Couples Playbook, a digital version or a hard copy. You can access it by clicking the link in my bio. But when you sit down and you schedule your strategic planning, I want you to use this model. Now, as you're thinking about how you receive feedback and how you give feedback, the deeper strategy or the deeper reality that I see with couples is that a lot of couples have not adopted a growth mindset. There's a growth mindset and there's a fixed mindset. And this is based on research that was done particularly with young children. And you should study this research because it is mind-blowing, especially for African American families. But the idea of a growth mindset is that I see a challenge and I know that I can overcome the challenge, or I don't allow a challenge to cause me to think less of myself. I'm constantly thinking about how I can move forward. A fixed mindset is this is just what it is. I see a challenge and I retreat. I don't believe I have what it takes to overcome that challenge. I don't have the resilience to bounce back from a challenge. And what I often see with a lot of couples is that you have not adopted a growth mindset. And so when it is time to receive or give feedback, it is difficult for you to give or receive feedback because you are immediately shutting down, or you're feeling like it's something about who you are as a person, or you become defensive because someone is giving you feedback. And so the first thing I want you and your spouse to do, now this is not what I've read in some book, this is what I have seen in the midst of these years I've been helping couples. I need you and your spouse to sit down and make a commitment that we're going to have a growth mindset when it comes to our marriage, a growth mindset. What does that mean? We're going to celebrate the wins. We're going to talk about how great our marriage is. We're going to talk about how amazing you are, husband, and how amazing I am, wife. But we are then going to also talk about the areas of growth, and we're going to be committed to those areas of growth. Now, let me pause. I told you all that I often hear one of the partners in a relationship suggesting that it feels like they can never satisfy their partner. And I shared that often I hear that from men, but it doesn't have to be men. It could be the woman as well. He or she is just never satisfied. It doesn't matter what I do. I can cross all the T's. I can dot all the I's. There's always going to be something. And I am suggesting that that might be because you have a fixed mindset. You don't have a growth mindset. But I want to be fair, because there are some relationships when one of the people in the relationship just is genuinely never satisfied. That person can sometimes have a negative mindset. There's always something wrong. There's always an issue. And I want to validate that for the other partner, because that can feel daunting. That can feel frustrating. What I often coach women on is, again, how to give feedback. Because if you come to your husband, ladies, and you have a list of 15 things that he is not doing well, then of course he's going to shut down. Think about if you go to work and your boss says, let's have a meeting to talk about how you have been doing, and your spouse and your boss lists 15 things that you are not doing. Of course, you're going to feel like, well, geesh. You're going to lose your motivation. It's going to feel as if that is an unattainable goal. And so you want to make sure, wives, you want to make sure, husbands, that you're not being unfair or unreasonable in your feedback, that you aren't only pointing out the things that are not working, that you aren't always talking about what needs to be done and what needs to be fixed. Sometimes we just need to celebrate. So can I throw my husband under the bus? Because I'm always throwing myself under the bus. Can I throw my husband under the bus real quick? My husband, in business or in ministry, and I'll have to think if I agree for it in marriage, but in business or in ministry, one of his areas of growth that he admits is that he's always on to the next. Something happens, something is accomplished, something is attained, and he doesn't take a moment to celebrate that. He's on to the next. And in our ministry at the church, my husband's the pastor of, and that I support him in our ministry, I'm often having to tell him, babe, we'll have this amazing event that we put so much attention to, so much focus on. We've leaned in, and everybody's had so much effort in this. And I'm like, babe, you got to stop and celebrate that for people. You may not need that, but you're already talking about the next event, and people want to relish for a moment in what just happened. And so I have to often remind him, let's celebrate what occurred. And that is the same for in your marriage. You want to celebrate what is going well. You know, can I talk to the ladies a little bit one more time? Ladies, I know we sometimes feel like we have to stroke our husband's ego, and maybe we do. Maybe we do. And that's okay, right? If it's going to get the outcome, make sure you stroke his ego, and just make sure that it is, what's the word I'm looking for? Genuine. That you are genuinely and sincere. That's the word I was looking for. That it is sincere. Okay. I have talked a long time. Let me give you this feedback model. Remember, I'm going to share with you a strategy for giving feedback today. And then I'm going to share with you a strategy to give feedback, another strategy to give feedback next week. Okay. So, okay, I got it in my head. So it is start, stop, continue. Start, stop, continue. That's it. That's the feedback model. Now remember, I want you to incorporate this when you sit down and do your strategic planning for the year. Surely you have not been hanging with me over here at I Believe in Marriage all this time, and you have not set the date for you and your spouse to do your strategic planning for 2025. There's no way you've been rocking with me that long and you haven't done that. Make sure you click the link in my bio. We're going to start pushing that a lot more in December because you want to start planning for 2025. But when you're sitting down doing your strategic planning, you are going to use the start, stop, continue method. What is that? You and your spouse together, separately, like each of you are going to take turns sharing. What is it that you want me to start doing? This is what you're asking your spouse. What is it that you want me to start doing? What is it that you like for me to stop doing? And what is it that you like me to continue doing? Y'all, somebody tell me thank you, Robin. Somebody say thank you, Robin. What's the song with Beyonce? Hey, Miss Carter. Somebody say, thank you, Robin. It is the start, stop, continue method. You are going to ask your spouse, what is it that you want me to start doing? Y'all, I might put my husband on blast. And I might record him answering these questions. He's not going to be able to answer it off the cuff. I wonder if I should give him a chance to think about it or do it. I'll think about it. Y'all tell me, DM me. Should I give him the start, stop, continue method in advance and tell him to think about it and record it? Or should I put him on the spot? I don't know, because ain't no telling what he might say and I might have to edit it. So never mind, I got my own answer. You're going to ask your spouse, what is it that you want me to start doing? What is it that you want me to stop doing? And what is it that you want me to continue doing? And you both are going to share that, okay? So you're going to share, what do you want your spouse to start? What do you want your spouse to stop? And what do you want your spouse to continue? Now, we can take this to another level. So you're talking about one another personally, right? In the marriage. What is it that you want me to start doing in the marriage? What do you want me to stop doing? And what is it that you want me to continue doing? We can take this to another level, and you can get feedback from your spouse outside of the marriage, just as you are looking at my life. What do you think? What is the feedback you have for me with my life? What is it that you want me to start? I could tell you, my husband will say, I want you to start seeing yourself much bigger than you do. He would say he wants me to stop adding new projects to my life. And he would want me to continue showing up for the girls the way I do. That's what I mean. So you can look at it from the standpoint of your marriage and then also get feedback in your life in general. Remember, the Bible says iron sharpens iron. And so your spouse really should be one of the people who can give you feedback. So again, I am sharing with you a feedback model. A lot of times in a marriage, one or both of the people are saying, I can never do anything right, or they always are pointing out a problem. And we often don't create an environment where we can give one another feedback. But not over here. Over here in I Believe in Marriage, we're going to know how to give feedback. And so you are going to use the start, stop, continue method. What is it that you want me to start doing? What is it that you want me to stop doing? And what is it that you want me to continue doing? I told y'all we were going to be quick over here. I hope that helped you. If you're going to use that strategy, please DM me and let me know. Comment on here and let me know. Send this to somebody. Tell them we over here doing the start, stop, continue method. I hope that helped. I'll see y'all next time.